They wrote, "Normal brain. Alright? Your brain. Oh my god, 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 oh my god." You ever notice that nothing has happened yet? Why you do this? Understand yourself. You ever notice how nothing has actually happened yet, and somehow you're already exhausted? A text takes a little longer than usual. An email arrives with a subject line that feels slightly suspicious. Your boss says, "Can we talk tomorrow?" And suddenly your brain starts preparing for the collapse of civilization. The weird part? You don't even know what the problem is yet, but your brain has already opened 17 tabs, created 3 backup plans, rehearsed 4 conversations, and emotionally survived a disaster that hasn't purchased tickets yet. The scary thing isn't that this happens. The scary thing is how normal it feels. Because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why your brain keeps preparing for catastrophes that don't exist. And why that preparation often hurts more than the actual thing. Let's be honest, most disasters start as absolutely nothing. A delayed reply, a weird look, a missed call, a tiny symptom, a vague message. That's it. Reality provides one missing piece of information, and your brain immediately says, "Excellent. I will now invent the remaining 473. You don't wait for evidence. You start producing content. Your brain becomes Netflix. Season 1, Season 2, a documentary, a spin-off series, behind-the-scenes footage, a tragic ending nobody asked for. Someone replies, "Sure," and suddenly you're analyzing punctuation like you're working for the FBI. Was it a happy sure? An angry sure? A disappointed sure? A sarcastic sure? A breakup sure? A lawsuit sure? Why are there so many types of sure? Here's the strange thing humans do. We act like uncertainty is temporary. But emotionally, we treat uncertainty like an emergency. When reality leaves a blank space, the brain rushes to fill it immediately, because the brain hates unfinished stories. It hates missing information. It hates not knowing. So instead of waiting, it starts guessing, and the guesses are almost never neutral. Nobody receives a text and thinks, "They probably appreciate me and everything is fine." No, your brain says, "They hate me." Then 5 minutes later, "They're probably dead." Then 10 minutes later, "Maybe they secretly hated me for years." The emotional range is incredible. Your brain deserves an award for creative writing. And once the disaster movie starts, things escalate fast. You begin preparing emotionally for events that haven't happened. Then you start preparing for your emotional reaction to events that haven't happened. Then you start preparing for the consequences of those emotional reactions. Now we're 3 levels deep. Someone hasn't replied, and you're already imagining where you'll live after the friendship ends. You haven't been rejected, but you've somehow prepared a TED Talk about overcoming rejection. You haven't failed, but you've mentally replayed the failure so many times it feels like a memory. Your body doesn't always know the difference. Your heart starts racing, your stomach tightens, your shoulders rise, your nervous system says, "Apparently we're under attack." Meanwhile, reality is sitting quietly in the corner like, "I literally haven't done anything yet." The reason this happens is surprisingly simple. Your brain is trying to protect you. That's it. It sees uncertainty, and uncertainty feels risky, so it starts preparing. If I imagine every possible outcome, maybe nothing can surprise me. Maybe nothing can hurt me. Maybe I can stay safe. Sounds logical, until you realize what actually happens. Instead of experiencing one possible painful event, you experience 50 imaginary ones. Congratulations, you tried to avoid suffering, and accidentally subscribed to the premium version. Unlimited anxiety, no free trial. This creates one of the strangest experiences in modern life. You are physically sitting in a completely normal room. Nothing is happening, no danger, no emergency, no crisis, but internally, absolute chaos. You are simultaneously attending 3 future arguments, 2 imaginary breakups, 1 career collapse, a medical emergency, and a conversation that hasn't happened yet. Your body is on Earth. Your brain is speedrunning alternate timelines. You look calm on the outside. Inside you're managing 17 emotional departments that don't even exist. No wonder you're tired. The frustrating part is how familiar this becomes. You know you're doing it. You catch yourself doing it. And somehow you keep doing it anyway. You tell yourself, "Let's not overthink this." 5 minutes later you're building contingency plans. Again, You promise you'll wait for facts. Then immediately start gathering evidence from things that aren't evidence. A delayed reply, a facial expression, a comma, a dream, a vibe, a cloud formation. At some point the investigation stops being scientific and starts becoming interpretive dance. But because uncertainty feels uncomfortable, the brain keeps choosing prediction over patience. Part of you knows this is ridiculous. That's what makes it so exhausting. One side says, relax. Nothing happened. The other side says, exactly. That's what makes this suspicious. One side wants peace. The other side wants certainty. And certainty feels more important. Because uncertainty creates tension, your brain keeps whispering, if we think about this just a little longer, we'll finally solve it. Except most uncertainty isn't a puzzle. It's a waiting period. And waiting feels impossible when your brain is trying to eliminate every possible surprise before breakfast. Here's how the loop works. Something unclear happens. You feel uncertain. Your brain predicts disaster. You prepare emotionally. You feel stressed. The stress makes the danger feel more real, which convinces your brain the preparation was necessary. Then the cycle repeats. Trigger, prediction, preparation, exhaustion, relief, repeat. What's wild is that reality often turns out completely normal. The text was harmless. The conversation was fine. The email wasn't bad. Nothing happened. And your brain immediately moves on to the next potential disaster. Like an employee who keeps winning awards for solving emergencies they personally invented. The real reason people stay trapped here isn't because they're irrational. It's because preparation creates an illusion of control. When uncertainty appears, doing nothing feels dangerous. Thinking feels productive. Worry feels responsible. Mental preparation feels useful. So your brain says, keep going. But there is a huge difference between preparation and obsession. Preparation solves real problems. Obsession tries to solve imaginary ones. And sometimes we mistake emotional activity for actual progress. You feel busy. You feel engaged. You feel proactive. But you're just pacing inside your own head. Some people become so used to preparing for problems that they start seeing it as part of who they are. They call themselves realistic, responsible, prepared, aware, and sometimes they are, but sometimes they're carrying emotional armor into situations that never become battles. The brain learns, if I expect disappointment, maybe disappointment won't hurt. But that's not protection. That's pre-suffering. You're experiencing pain in advance for events that may never arrive. It's like opening an umbrella every day because rain exists somewhere on Earth. Technically understandable, emotionally exhausting. The realization that changes everything is this: uncertainty is not danger. Those are not the same thing. Your brain often treats them like identical twins. But they're not. Not knowing what happens next isn't automatically a threat. It's just incomplete information. And incomplete information is part of being human. The goal isn't to stop caring. The goal isn't to stop thinking. The goal is realizing that uncertainty does not automatically require emotional emergency procedures. Sometimes reality genuinely needs time to reveal itself. And that's okay. A surprisingly powerful shift is asking one question. What problem am I solving right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because many imagined disasters have no current solution, only current worrying. The brain hates hearing this. Because it wants action, it wants certainty, it wants closure immediately. But often there is nothing to solve, only something to experience, only something to wait through. And weirdly enough, that realization can feel like putting down a heavy backpack you forgot you were carrying. What if uncertainty isn't proof that something is wrong? What if it's proof that the story isn't finished yet? Think about how many times your brain predicted disaster, and reality delivered something completely different. A conversation went better than expected. A mistake wasn't catastrophic. An opportunity appeared from nowhere. A person surprised you. Life has a long history of refusing to follow your predictions. And honestly, that's probably a good thing. Because if your brain controlled reality, we'd all be living inside emotional apocalypse simulations. The real solution isn't becoming perfectly calm. Nobody does that. The real solution is learning to notice when your brain starts writing fiction. Notice the prediction. Notice the rehearsal. Notice the catastrophe script. Notice the emergency soundtrack. Then gently remind yourself, this is a possibility, not a fact. This is a prediction, not reality. This is preparation, not evidence. You don't need to stop your brain from generating scenarios. You just stop treating every scenario like breaking news. And the moment you do that, something powerful happens. You stop spending today surviving tomorrow. Maybe the funniest thing about being human is how often we suffer from events that never happen. We prepare, we rehearse, we predict, we defend ourselves against futures that never arrive. Not because we're broken, not because we're weak, but because our brains care about keeping us safe. Sometimes a little too much. And when you finally understand that, the shame starts disappearing. You stop judging yourself. You start laughing a little. Because suddenly you can see the pattern. And once you can see it, you don't have to obey it. So tell me, what's the smallest thing your brain has ever turned into a full emotional disaster simulation?